We now proceed to Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler of Missouri.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, gentlemen. So I, like many others here, heard the news of the first accident, and I couldn't believe it. Like, how can this happen? And then to have it happen a second time, it's both disheartening and disturbing at the same time. And wanted to follow up with some of the line of questioning of a colleague, Mr. Norcross, in that, what are we doing now? And one thing you said, I mean, we knew there was a pause, but did you say that you haven't gotten the results of the pause yet, where we had the USS Fitzgerald in June had the accident? So you haven't received that yet?
The operational pause, ma'am, was taken after the McCain, not after Fitzgerald.
Okay. Okay. But you haven't received those results either. I know that's just a short
No, ma'am, not all.
Okay. I want to talk about the number of hours. Mr. Pendleton, you touched on that, but how much are sailors expected to work right now? And is over 100 hours out of line for that? And how do you think the Navy should address this?
Yeah, I'll defer to the admirals to talk about how much they're working now. In 2014, a Navy internal study indicated that the average sailor was working over 100 hours a week, about 108. So that meant there's 168 hours in a week. They had 100, so they were working 108 and they had 60 off. So that's about 15 and a half hours a day. The standard work week, which is founded on a 70-hour base work week, and ultimately, when they add other duties, is 81, is fairly grueling in and of itself. So if the Navy was to the standard that it has, the sailor would have 81 hours off and roughly 81 hours on and 87 off. So just over 11 hours a day is what's sort of programmed in.
So, Admiral Moran, is that something that you all are striving to get to, those type of numbers?
Yeah, we are examining that through. We have an organization down in Millington, Tennessee, that is used to go and look at all sea duty to determine what the right work week levels ought to be. We've done this for decades. We've been pretty consistent with it, but I think based on the trend lines that we're seeing in FD&F that we referred to earlier, it's certainly time to look at whether the maintenance backload, the work effort that's going on in FD&F Japan today by sailors on the waterfront is reaching a point where that work week needs to be modified.
Great. What about, when I first heard about this, I had the thought that maybe it was cyber. Now, I've read some reports saying that perhaps that has been ruled out, but you did mention that you're going to, in this study, in the review, they're going to make sure it's eliminated. What can you tell us about that? How do you go about eliminating that somebody took over your systems?
It's relatively new ground for us. This is the first time we've sent a team from our Cyber Command here in Washington, Commander 10th Fleet, sent a team over there to pull as much data from that ship as possible that records data to see if there were any disruption or interruptions that are abnormal. I would also offer to you that just about every three-letter agency in Washington, D.C. has looked to see if there were indications of an intent or potential acknowledgement of a cyber attack. I have personally not seen any evidence of that. But we're not stopping there. The team is in place in Singapore today, has been for several days, capturing all of the computer and network information to see if they can find any abnormalities or disruptions. Okay.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, and in some ways it would be easier if you could blame somebody else rather than taking the hard look at, maybe it's just that we need more training and it's our own policies and procedures that need to be addressed. But the last thing is that, I take very serious, as do all fellow members, of appointing our young men and women to your service academies, and the Naval Academy is just exemplary. But it's always a very sobering, but inspiring as well, event when I have the parents and the young men and women come that are going to have this opportunity. But it's sobering the fact that I look into the eyes of those parents, and while they're very, very proud, many times I see a little bit of fear in the back too. What's going to happen to my son or daughter? And so this is a tough question, but Admiral, from a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being 100% confident that when we send this young man or woman out to sea, that they're going to have the resources they need to come home safe, not from an enemy, but from our own equipment and our own readiness. How confident are you that you would tell me so I can go home to my parents and look them in the eye and say they're going to be okay?
Tough question to answer. How I would answer it, how I will answer it, is that I have incredible confidence in this team to learn from this and to get it right. And I would share that with any parent that's got a son or daughter who is considering the Naval Academy or enlisted in the service. We're not perfect, but we need to strive to be that. And that's part of what this review is all about, is to make sure we understand what went wrong and fix those things to the best of our ability to regain the confidence of not only our parents and their families, but our sailors as well.
Absolutely. They deserve that, and I know we all stand ready to partner with you to do whatever we need to do to get this right so our sailors come home safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Congresswoman